Hello, I'm your host, Effie Pilarinu, and today I think I have an opportunity to say some French here with our wonderful guest, Nicolas Babin, who is joining us. Welcome, Nicolas.
Thank you very much, Effie. Thank you for having me. Great.
So we'll go back to the French. First of all, where are you today? Where are we connecting?
I'm in Arcachon, which is southwest of France, about 45 minutes south of Bordeaux.
Okay, perfect. So this is wonderful, Nicolas. We are connected on Twitter, and this was a great opportunity to get to know you much better and understand where you're coming from, and all the work that you're doing now in the space. What journey brought you to this today? Can you briefly tell us a little bit about your journey? I know that you have started in the financial industry with BNP Paribas. You can tell us roughly what you were doing there. I know that later you were the CEO here in Europe of Sony, and I'm sure we'll have the opportunity to hear about the Sony dog, the robotics that you were involved in building, which will lead us to your book. So tell us briefly about your journey, and then we'll dive in to your focus and expertise, which is very much around gamification and now Web3.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for giving me this opportunity. So I have over 35 years of experience. As you said, I started with, at the time it was only called BNP, Banque Nationale de Paris, because it was back in '89 and it was in San Francisco. And I started with them because I couldn't speak English, or I spoke like a French student. So I had to learn. So I started as a programmer because that was my background. And then I moved on to the derivative desk. So as a trader, and I was trading on swaptions for BNP in San Francisco. So very stressful job, waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning because we had to wake up for a New York start, which was 3 hours later because we were based in the Bay Area of San Francisco. So that was really the start of my career, if I could say, over 35 years ago. And after that, I was very lucky because as I was based in Silicon Valley, in San Francisco, and then the Silicon Valley, I was always at the right time at the right place. So when internet came out, I was working for BNP, and that was my first job. So I started to implement the first email system for BNP, which was called Da Vinci. And I remember going to the bank and arriving in the morning, and the people would say, "We receive a mail from Paris." It was like almost receiving a fax. Yeah. So that was a lot of fun. And then after that, I was recruited by Sony. And I launched the first in-car navigation system, GPS-based. And then after that, I started the robotic and artificial intelligence robot. You have my background is my dog. So it's also the cover of my book called The Talking Dog, which was really the first artificially intelligent robot. So I did that for over 5 years as a managing director, CEO of that division for Sony Europe. And then after that, Sony promoted me to be head of communication and product marketing for the whole of Europe. So I was based in Berlin during that time. So I was extremely lucky because I was based in the US for a while, married an American, based in the UK for a long while as well, about 8 years, then Brussels for about 2 years, then Japan, Tokyo for about a year, and then Berlin for 4 years. And then I moved back to Bordeaux back in 2008. And ever since, I've continued to work in new technologies, so web analytics, also gamification, as we'll talk about that later. And then finally worked for Neopost as a head of mergers and acquisitions for a very large French company. And that was just before I started my own company as a consultant for digital transformation in general. I have also, I help on marketing, digital marketing. And as you mentioned, I'm very involved also on Twitter and LinkedIn. And I do some campaigns with Amazon, with IBM, with Google on new technologies for the social media. So that's, in a nutshell, 35 years of experience.
Wow, amazing. So the fascination and the focus with the gamification, tell us a little bit about that and how it connects with your consulting digital transformation work, and really how has it changed over time, basically the last decade that you have been really focused on this.
Yeah. So just to go back a little bit in history, back in 2004, when I became head of communication and product marketing for Sony Europe, I was, Sony is a lot of businesses, and I was in charge of electronics. But we also had PlayStation next to us, and I was fascinated by the amount of time that players would spend on a PlayStation. And then suddenly you would ask them a question and say, how long have you been playing? It's been like, oh wow, 2 hours. I've been playing 2 hours and I haven't seen time go by. And I thought, with the engagement that people have with the games and with the console, is there any way we could do the same and focus our marketing around that engagement? Because when somebody goes and buys a TV, I mean, you can check for yourself. You go to a Dixon's or whatever shop in Europe or in the world, and you have all the brands next to each other, right? So the only reason you're going to choose a brand is either you are very attached to that brand because you've had a fantastic experience with the brand and a fantastic journey with the brand because you want to replace a Sony with another Sony, for example, or because at the time you had a salesperson saying, go for the Sony because it's better, or whatever excuse it will give you. But in fact, it's because behind Sony would give a little percentage, a commission on. So basically, you would make your decision based on somebody telling you what to do. And I thought, if we could make it a fun experience, and if we could attach the brand to the consumer, then it's a win-win for everyone. So that's when I started to think about gamification. At the time, the term gamification didn't exist. It came much later, like I think in 2010, and it was a Canadian guy who came up with the term, which is absolutely perfect because gamification is the use of game mechanics to increase engagement and increase loyalty, right? So basically how to get a customer closer to a brand. And that's exactly what I wanted to do at Sony. And that's exactly what gamification is about to make happen. And today, why am I still very involved with gamification is because when you do a digital transformation project, or when you talk about metaverse, as you mentioned, Web 3.0, you need to get more engagement. So for example, when you talk about the experience that you're going to put somebody inside the metaverse, you want them to be engaged, you want them to be loyal, you want them to have fun. It's very different than anything today because it's based on augmented reality, virtual reality, and it's what we call phygital, so in between physical and digital experience. But all these things about improving the experience of the person, and again, I talk a lot about customer experience, but improving the experience of the person is what you find in digital transformation. Because when you tell a company you need to change from selling boxes to selling solutions, you need to have a change of mindset, because it's not about digital, it's not about the tools, it's about people thinking, well, the way I've been working has worked in the past because that was the right environment, but it doesn't work as well today because the environment has changed. And gamification helps also with the transformation of mindset. That's why I find that in all my projects, every time I've inserted a gamification element, I've been extremely successful with the project. So why today do we see everything happening pretty much at the same time? Is because people's mentality are changing, and COVID has helped a lot with that, because we all found ourselves, back to the wall, where we had no option. Either you move or you die, right? Or you change or you die, pretty much, in terms of business. And also because technology is ready. Back in 2000, Sony came out with a Second Life type called Home. And I was with Sony at the time, so I could see what happened. And the technology was still cumbersome. Internet was, back in 2000, not very fast. The communication on mobile phone was 2G. We were just moving to 3G. So we didn't have the right environment to make it happen. Whereas today, we're on 5G with no latency, with all the benefits of big bandwidth, with a global acceptation of 5G. And we have virtual reality, augmented reality, what we call extended reality, coming out to life. So on top of all this, what the metaverse is all about is also incorporating an angle of economy around it. So meaning you can buy things on the metaverse. And the technology is ready for that as well. You can see NFTs coming to mind now. And so the financial world would make it happen in a much easier way, where in the past, we didn't have crypto, we didn't have NFT, we didn't have anything. Whereas today you can easily buy something online. You can use digital currency. So all of these happening at the same time make it that, you can announce a Web 3.0 today, or what we call the metaverse. And that's the reason why my implication and my involvement in these new technologies and new market is basically, very appropriate, because it's at the right time again.
Nicolas, let me ask you something. When I think, and I'm not a gamer, or maybe I am and I don't know it.
Everybody is a gamer.
Everybody's a gamer. I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm a Sudoku player, for example. For me, Sudoku is very relaxing.
Yeah.
So
and that's a game. Crosswords, that's a game. So everybody plays, actually.
Everybody plays.
Part of our DNA.
That's in our DNA. But, I see that there is activity within games, and I know ballpark numbers of 3+, maybe 4 billion gamers all over the world, and there's a lot of economic activity, but it is what I would call within walls. Mm-hmm. Meaning, it's within that world of the game, and not linked to what we call traditional economic activity. So are you talking or thinking that we are ready to link these two worlds and really have economic activity, and not just, this walled activity where somebody says, oh, I own, I don't know, so many skins, and I have a 19-year-old son, so I do know some things. Is that what is going to happen?
That's correct. I think the key word you said is traditional. You have traditional world now, which is not the norm anymore. Traditional world is evolving because because COVID arrived. It was supposed to evolve over 5 to 10 years. But I think this has really increased in a much faster way, because people, you and I have never met. We talk on Zoom. We have a different interaction with people, and that's the same in a game. You find yourself in an environment, you're engaged in that environment. You have the traditional way, which you can still do, no problem at all, and you still have meetings and stuff like that, and you can meet gamers in a real world, if I can say, in a physical way, and you have the digital way, and it's the combination of both, because we have seen that just being focused on the physical world does not work anymore. We had to change very fast 2 years ago. So today we're experiencing, if I could say, the two worlds together and see how it goes. I don't think you can say we're going to stop the physical world or we're going to stop the digital world. It's impossible. So you have a combination of both, and the technology is here to help us. And that's the beauty of it. It's the right time again.
I mean, I personally sense that we are shifting from what we've experienced the last decade as social platforms in Web 2 to a world that the social platform, definitely for my children that are in their 20s, is the gaming world, and I'm sure that will evolve. So in terms of financial services, and when I say financial services, even that is broader than what you and I thought in the 90s when we started, in these big financial service providers. Today, there's many companies that have different licenses or are renting licenses and providing financial services. We talk a lot about embedded finance, embedded open finance, open banking, and embedded finance. So are you seeing interest and understanding and mindset from financial services providers in this world that goes a little bit beyond, let me just offer buying and selling of Bitcoin just because, this is a good fee business, and why not, why miss the opportunity of that there's demand, and why not serve the customers?
Yes, I see a lot of changes. To be honest with you, I think the fintech market, so you were talking about banks or insurance companies, they are the ones that need the most today, the transformation that we see. Because, you probably remember, and I was a banker, so I do remember, customer experience was never high on the banks or on insurance companies list. It was always, you basically have to sign this contract, and doesn't matter if it matches your desire or your needs. This is how you're going to get your financial services. Today, these people are really evolving towards a more personalized customer experience. So, I'm not talking about the cryptocurrencies and everything, which is also part of it, but you're right, it's much, much broader than that. It's what will work, for Effie, what will work for Nicolas. And it's the whole range of services that the bank is providing. When I mean bank, I mean also insurance companies. So for example, in terms of marketing, they have to change the way they approach their customers. They have to change the way they approach their prospects. They have to change the way they work, pretty much. In terms of services themselves, they really need to personalize what will work. You said you have children in your 20s. You have different needs than a family that has children in their 10th, teens, or whatever, because I don't know what your children do, but I have two kids as well, 26 and 23. And the 23 years old is in Canada, and he's pretty much finished with his studies. He will be finished by the end of the year in engineering studies. And the 26-year-old is in medical school in France, and he'll be finished at least his first part, and he will start his residency. So that means that I have different needs now because I'm evolving. And people with kids in their teens, they need to save money because they need to prepare for their children's education. They need to prepare for their children starting their lives and everything. So with the help of technology and the help of, I don't want to go too much into detail, but just to explain big data. So it's not a bad word to say, but it's, the recording of your historical information of what you need, what you spend, when you spend it, how you spend it, and all this. Then the fintech companies can provide a much better, a much more personalized service to what I need. So when they contact me, they know that, for example, I take an insurance contract in June because I go off on holiday during the summertime, and they know we're a family of 4. They know the age of our kids. So when they approach me for the right contract and the right need, because that's the need I have. Was before, it was never the case. You would receive all this mailing, either physical mails or an email lately, and they will say, this is what we offer. It's like spray and pray. I use that word a lot. You used to spray information as a marketer and pray that one person will take it. Well, now you don't spray anymore. You really target precisely, and that's what changes. So the whole environment in terms of fintech, and I really want to focus on fintech today because it's really the area that needs the most, because it's the area that has evolved the least in the last 100 years, and that now needs to evolve the most in the next 10 years. So it was 100 years before, and now it's 10 years because time has shrunk.
I was going to ask you, because you mentioned the specific example of the insurance provider that knows you and sends you these offers because they know you. And I was going to ask you, oh wow, is it the case in France that the fintech offerings, whether it's from what I would call startups or incumbents, is it much better than it is, for example, here in Switzerland or in other places in Europe? Are you seeing a difference with?
No.
No,
it's pretty much the same, because we have GDPR. So we need to be very careful. And I mean, I'm saying we in the sense as a service provider for me, but banks and insurance companies have to be very careful, because you need to treat data with GDPR in mind. So but yeah, I don't see a difference between Switzerland, Europe, or any countries in Europe. It's pretty much Europe, and US pretty much the same as well. In Asia, I see some differences because they are more sensitive to this, and they have a different approach to their financial services. But in the US and Europe, I pretty much the same environment for me.
So you see really that we are still at an early stage in terms of what can be done for the customer in financial services.
Well, yes and no. We're at early stage, yes, definitely, but we see what can be done already. Right, so we see, and we have a lot of offerings online banking, type of financial services, NFTs, anything that crypto, and you have several technologies around crypto. You have several marketplaces around crypto. So we see what's available for the next year or two. And in my book, actually, I talk about what's available until 2025, because as I mentioned, in the past, for about 100 years, you could see what was going to happen. Today, it's really difficult to see what will happen in the next 2 or 3 years. That's why I wanted to stop my book in 2025, because after that, it's pretty much, wet finger and
exactly.
Where's the wind coming
Anybody
from?
that claims that they know what's going to happen over the next decade is really
Is a fool.
Full of himself or herself, right?
Absolutely.
In terms of predicting. Shall we talk a little bit about NFTs? Because there's so many myths to be debunked, and use cases beyond what we are bombarded in media, about digital art and NFTs. My thinking when I really put together some of the trends for 2022, I really thought that a lot of corporates or boardrooms will be thinking about an NFT strategy, the first version of their NFT strategy. I haven't seen something concrete yet as an example, but that is the thinking, that we will be exploring NFT strategies and finding more use cases.
Yep.
What do you see in the market that you can share with us that can enlighten us as to what is in the works or in the minds, if you want, of those that are shaping our future?
Yeah. So before I start, I want to be totally transparent and say that I have a customer in the NFT space, which is called Origin, based in Switzerland, next to Geneva. So I will talk about Origin, but I won't say that it's one of my projects. So that's why I want to be totally transparent. In terms of NFT, so with Origin, for example, anything around digital media, art, luxury, collectibles, all these can be divided into NFTs and can be purchased, because now you have marketplaces that allow the trading of NFTs. How do you know the value of an NFT? If you want to sell something at $100 and you have somebody in front of you that wants to buy it at $100, that's the value of an NFT. So it's not based on gold, it's not based on petrol, it's not based on anything concrete. It's based on the market saying, I want to buy, and you have a buyer in front of you. So that's the thing.
But Nicolas, the NFTs here in the asset class that you sort of broadly describe are really representing fractionalized ownership of whatever it is. It can be a luxury, whatever, necklace or watch. It can be any other collectible. Maybe I collect dispensers of candies from the 90s or whatever it is.
Yep, absolutely. Anything. It needs to be non-fungible, which means non-transferable. From the time it's non-fungible, then it's an NFT, because non-fungible token. So you create a token around your watch, around a car, beautiful car, around a beautiful boat, around a piece of art. So you want to own a little bit of the Mona Lisa. Well, probably 1 million people will own a little bit of Mona Lisa, and you'll have the token that proves that you're one of the owner of the Mona Lisa in an NFT way. So again, it's a new, different type of market. What you and I have known in the financial market back in the 90s is you can't grasp your head around it. It's totally different, but it's a market, and it exists today. You have pieces that are purchased for a lot of money.
But Nicolas, to me, because I come from also derivatives background, I started at Salomon Brothers fixed income structured products.
Okay.
So in my mind, this is like the next evolution of securitization. We pull together, in this case, it's Mona Lisa, and then you fractionalize it, or what was done with mortgages and other asset-backed securities. But of course, hopefully it's in a more secure, trustworthy way, where the collateral held in this special purpose vehicle, which in this case is a smart contract, I guess.
Correct.
And it makes it much easier, verifiable, the titles, the processes, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
However, it is also, we need a secure way to link the physical object with these titles, right?
Correct.
And there is the big question with the NFTs that, and I don't know if it's a legal question or a business question. When you own an NFT, does this really entitle you to the underlying, be it a fraction of Mona Lisa or,
No, in the case of Mona Lisa, no, but in case of your watch, yes.
Why?
See, so it really depends on what you put as an underlying, right?
Okay.
So let's say I have a Rolex, and I'm not trying to make any commercial. Yeah. I don't work for Rolex, by the way. Yeah. But let's say you have a Rolex and you want to ensure that at least, the Rolex is, because let's say one day you go and have your Rolex repaired, you want to make sure that at least they don't exchange your Rolex and everything. So you're going to have to mint your token with some very specific and detailed part of your Rolex. So at least always that this is the right Rolex, and your NFT can prove ownership of that specific unique Rolex, because sometimes you have unique models, and that's what's important. But you're right, in the case of Mona Lisa, I was just taking it as an example because everybody knows Mona Lisa. Then it doesn't give you the right to own a piece of the Mona Lisa. It just gives you the right to own a piece of the token of the Mona Lisa. But you're right, it's more a legal question. To understand.
So
it's hard.
In your mind, the NFT potential is what, to unlock liquidity and basically have imagine that anything can become collateral to this NFT, and then we can use it in all the traditional ways that we know, be it to get a loan, to whatever it is.
This will be in the next step, you know, because you're right. Potentially, he could, because if you have a proof that your NFT is worth X, then you can put it against a loan. You know, the problem you're going to face, or the bank will face, because again, if it comes with a bank, is how liquid is your NFT. Meaning, you can't pay your loan. How is the bank going to go around and say, you have to pay me back, or I'll take your NFT? But if they can't sell the NFT, so
that's the job of some other DeFi marketplace, right?
Exactly.
Lending and so on. But back to the example of Origin, the blockchain that you were talking about. What is the role of the blockchain? Is it the mechanism of issuing the NFT,
yeah, exactly.
or is it the recording? What is it exactly?
Well, it's all of the above. Basically, they create the token, they mint it, what we call mint it. They protect it. They also, you can buy and sell using their marketplace. It's their own technology, so it's really, you know, you become an Origin customer, and you can just really manage all your NFTs with them. So I mentioned, you know, the 4 areas: digital media, collectibles, art, and luxury. Okay. And these 4 areas, you can basically, you know, create, sell, do whatever you want. Okay. It's a very, very good technology. And again, you know,
I understand, but what I'm hearing from you is that we are, the market is developing infrastructure for NFTs that is domain specific or specialized, if you want. So Origin is specialized in these four areas. Some other blockchain may be specialized in minting NFTs for a completely different purpose, and also providing a marketplace. So we should expect to see booming competition in this area.
Well, 2 years ago there was nothing, and look at today. So in 2 years you can expect to see a lot. Absolutely, yes.
Right. And in terms of the idea of corporates having or thinking about an NFT strategy beyond the very, how could I say, plain vanilla ideas of, okay, we're going to do a big event, like tech companies do big events, or a big retailer can do a big event, or a fashion show, something like that, and you issue access to this event through an NFT. What else can you see as a marketer or a gamification expert as being thought of in the market?
A simple campaign, online campaign in gamification, for example, can be NFTs. Right? You create your campaign to promote one of your products, and that campaign, the advertising that you're going to do to promote your product can be with an NFT. Anything pretty much can have an NFT. Your logo.
What does it mean, the advertising can be an NFT? Give me a complete.
Well, for example, when you have an ad, a digital ad that plays and that represents your company, you can say, me as a company, I own this digital ad, and I have the NFT to prove it, and it's my unique ad, and therefore it's non-fungible, non-transferable. If somebody wants to buy that particular ad, this is the price for it, right? So pretty much anything you're going to create as digital media can be NFT. As you mentioned before, also physical event, you could put an NFT. It's just thinking about the logo of a company, for example, could be NFT. Why not? I mean, I
Yeah.
haven't seen it, but I've just seen today, actually, I didn't know we were going to talk too much about NFTs, but I saw today that there was an NFT minting machine available in New York City now. So people can just go and mint their own NFT. So I haven't, to be honest, I read it very quickly because I had a very busy morning.
Yes.
And I saw that this minting machine was available for the public in New York City. So, you start seeing much more, and we don't know what we don't know. So in the next 2 years,
Of course, and
even more.
it's for the people in the market to decide how to use
Exactly.
it. Are they going to use it for memorabilia, or who knows what they will use it for?
Exactly.
It's clear that anything related to experience, or anything related to what you said, digital media in Web 2, we can imagine that it can become an NFT, right?
Absolutely. There's no limit.
There is no limit. Nicolas, before we close, tell us about your book, and also where people can find you and follow you on Twitter, on LinkedIn. I imagine I will add definitely your links there.
Yes. So my book is called The Talking Dog. It's been translated into 4 languages: French, English, German, and Portuguese. Okay. And it's basically an immersion in new technologies from 1989 to 2025, where I've used my own experience, again, with, back in 89 with the first internet, with CompuServe, then the launch of Aibo, the launch of the GPS system, then Aibo, the robotic dog. And then, I've always been involved in major new revolution in technologies. And so I've used that to explain where we're coming from and where we're going. So that was a project that I finished last year, and the sales are going really well, and you can buy it on Amazon, so .com, .fr, .de, and .com/BR for Brazil, because it's available either on paperback or also on Kindle. And you can find me on Twitter at NicoChan33 and LinkedIn Nicolas Babin.
And 33, I imagine, is the country code for France?
No. It's actually Bordeaux region is Gironde, and Gironde is 33.
Okay. See, I learned something. Okay, let's see when you decide to NFT your Twitter handle. And may I ask you, by the way, have you added to your Twitter profile your Bitcoin wallet and your Ethereum wallet for tipping? Why, Nicolas? You haven't found time?
That's one of the reasons. True. Yes, I haven't had much time yet, and I know it's happening, and I see a lot of people, but on this one, I'm being a little bit more careful, or cautious, not careful, because there's no risk in publishing it, but I haven't done it yet. It will be done. It
must be done. It's a question. It's rather more of messaging and a stance.
Absolutely.
of where we're moving, rather than the practical or financial, if you want, impact on your profile, right?
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Nicolas. It was really great connecting with you, and I wish you a great week.
Thank you. You too.